Hello, welcome back. Time now for business news. For that, I'm joined on set by Matthew Warren. Hello there, Matt.
Hi, Louise.
So, there's been a progress report on efforts to make the French economy more competitive.
That's right, because we've talked a lot over the recent months, yes, about the need for this, what they call a competitiveness boost here in France for businesses. And it was 5 months ago that the government unveiled a series of measures that were designed to do that. And it was Louis Gallois, he's the former boss of the aerospace and defence giant EADS, who came up with that report and a series of recommendations. Well, ministers have been given an update on how things are going. Stephen Carroll has the details.
Carrying a copy of his report, Louis Gallois returned to brief ministers on efforts to kickstart French competitiveness. He told them that 2/3 of the 35 measures he recommended have been put in place. Most importantly, a key tax credit for businesses for each employee who earns less than 2.5 times the minimum wage, or around €46,000 a year. But so far, only 1,500 companies have applied for the rebate.
The tax credit is meant to reduce the cost of labour for all companies. It's not yet being used enough, but where it is being used, it's very effective. It's a reduction of 4% in labour costs this year and 6% for a full year.
300 companies have already received the credit in the last 4 months. Among them, this printing firm in the Parisian suburbs. After applying for the rebate for his employees, the owner has been awarded a €150,000 tax credit.
The form is 4 pages long. It's very simple, an easy calculation and a declaration that you have to send by post.
In less than 6 weeks, his application was approved and the money paid to the company. The business is facing increased competition from Japan and the US, so it's a welcome boost.
It makes us more competitive because it reduces our labour costs and allows us to invest that money in other areas like research and development.
The measure has attracted some controversy too, though. The European Commission has warned that the cost of the tax credit will increase France's budget deficit next year.
Well, Stephen Carroll reporting there. Well, the French Finance Minister, Pierre Moscovici, is in Washington at the moment. He's attending what's called the spring meetings of the IMF and the World Bank, and that brings together G20 finance ministers and central bank governors. Well, France 24 caught up with Mr. Moscovici, and they asked him whether France lacks credibility when it comes to reforming its economy.
No, I don't really think so. I believe France is credible. Everyone sees that we are making the necessary efforts and the essential reforms. The markets trust us. We are borrowing at historically low interest rates. The main challenge for us is to be credible, and to achieve that, we have to reduce our deficit.
All right, Matt, take us through the markets. It's now
Moscovici,
me.
yes.
Moscovici and the markets.
That's right. Well, let's take a look at the markets this morning. And the Asian markets are doing pretty well, actually. They're all up. That's been after a week of seesawing around. And look at the Shanghai composite there. We haven't seen it rise that much for a while. It's up 1.75%.
All right, staying in Asia, the Shanghai Motor Show opens this weekend, Matt.
That's right. And, well, European car makers will be out in force at that. And it's no surprise, really, as sales here in Europe continue to plummet. China is undergoing a car boom. Well, William Hildebrandt has more.
From vroom to boom, as car sales around the globe are slowing, consumers in China are accelerating. First quarter sales and production figures are up double digits over last year, highlighted by a 17.2% rise in passenger car sales. While March marked the 18th consecutive month European new car sales dropped, it's no wonder automakers like Citroën are shifting gear and making their Asian operations a priority.
The European market is in a deep crisis. We expect a downturn of, again, -3 to -5% this year. And clearly the growth of the auto industry is in China. China is already the largest car market in the world, and it's going to become even more the case in the years to come. So for us, Citroën, it's our #1 priority, really.
This weekend, Shanghai will host its 15th annual car show, showcasing the most expensive, the most luxurious, and the most economical. The fastest-selling models in China are SUVs and family-sized sedans. Car makers are boosting profit margins by luring the growing middle class with larger and more advanced vehicles. And there is also demand for electric and hybrid models. Some Chinese cities have already put limits on the number of cars because of pollution. China is the world's largest auto market, but there are fears supply could eventually exceed demand. As the country's economy slows, carmakers hope consumers will not pump the brakes.
Well, that report from William Hildebrand there. Well, let's get some of the day's company news. And sales at IBM slipped back in the first 3 months of this year. The company blamed a failure to close several big deals for that. IBM is also reported to be in talks with China's Lenovo. That's over a sale of its server hardware business. Well, that talk helped push shares in Lenovo up by around 4% on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange this Friday.
Microsoft said profits were up by a fifth in the first 3 months of the year. The results were eagerly awaited after a sharp drop in global PC sales in the same period. Microsoft says it wants to increase its share of the tablet and smartphone markets.
And profits were also up at Google. Plus, the number of paid clicks on ads was up there by 20%. A recent drop in the average price for those ads appears to be easing. Well, Google was also keen to talk up the new products it's investing in. Those include self-driving cars and internet-linked glasses.
Sounds fascinating. All right, now Boeing's troubled Dreamliner could fly again soon.
Yes, now this is one where they've been very keen to get these planes back up in the air. I mean, they were very keen to get them sold, made a big fuss about it, and then they had all these problems with batteries that forced them to be grounded. Now, that was 3 months ago. The 50 Dreamliners have been sold to airlines. They've all been on the tarmac since then. Well, the Wall Street Journal is reporting this Friday that approval could be imminent from the American regulator, the FAA. In fact, the Wall Street Journal is saying that it could even be this Friday that they give their approval for the battery fix that Boeing has proposed, which I don't want to get technical here, Louise, but involves new protective metal containers and all sorts of things just to make it safe, because the problem was that there were these battery fires that were going on. Well, if they get that go-ahead, airlines will be able to start retrofitting those batteries. That would be particularly good news for 2 Japanese airlines, Japan Airlines and All Nippon Airways, who both have the bulk of these 787 Dreamliners.
All right, OK. Over in Ireland, and tough new rules have been introduced for homeowners struggling with debts.
Yes, now property prices in Ireland have halved since the peak of the housing market in 2007. And not surprisingly, that means thousands, even hundreds of thousands of property owners are in negative equity. Many of them as well really struggling to pay their mortgages. Well, a new insolvency agency has set out rules to help those who want to get a write-down on their debt. They won't be able to just get it cut back. They will also have to sign up to some pretty tough conditions, and those include spending limits. For example, on food per month, they will only be allowed, this is for a single person, to spend 247, it's very precise as well, look at that, 4 cents. Heating, 57 euros. And then this strange thing called social inclusion and participation, which is things like cinema tickets. Plus, there could be bans on what they're calling luxuries, things like private school education, money on cars, satellite TV, foreign holidays as well, and health insurance. So pretty tough conditions there for
Certainly
struggling
a new way
people.
of managing debt, isn't it?
That's right.
OK, and you have news of an unusual pension fund involving cheese.
That's right. Now, it is strange, isn't it, this?
Yeah, a little bit.
Let me explain. 20 million kilograms of English cheddar have been pledged to a pension fund at one British company. Now, you're wondering, what could you do with that cheddar? Well, the idea is if the fund runs into financial problems, they can sell off this cheddar to make money and to fill the gap. Now, it's all the pension fund at Dairy Crest, which is one of Britain's biggest cheesemakers. They have brands including Cathedral City. That's one of their best-selling cheeses there. And in fact, most of the 3,000 members of that pension fund are milkmen, or rather retired milkmen. And perhaps for people who aren't from Britain should explain what a milkman is, that they are the people who go around delivering milk. But of course, as more and more people buy their milk in places like supermarkets, there are fewer of these people going around early in the morning delivering them, but plenty of them needing their pensions to be paid.
Wow.
So
fascinating.
That's right.
All right, well, thank you very much, Matt. Matthew Warren. OK. Quick update now. We're being told that there's actually been a shooting now in terms of Watertown, which is in Massachusetts. We're being told that there have been explosives have gone off, explosive devices, gunshots One suspect is in custody. You're seeing there, we're being told that's one of the suspects. This has just come down to us now. One remains on the loose. This, of course, is Watertown in Massachusetts, which is close to the MIT campus university, when one police officer has been shot dead. We're being told it's a very active scene. Dozens of police cars have just been, as you can see there, have surrounded the site. We will, of course, bring you more on that as we get it. And that's where we leave it. Stay tuned to France 24.